Alright guys, it's kind of dark in here. We got some new lights though. Oh, look at that. Hardly even have to open the back door with those fancy new shop lights. Now it's almost the same brightness inside. Oh, project truck sneak peek. Working on that passenger side door. I don't have the glass yet. I'm waiting on that to come, so straightening this door out, getting the passenger side door done. We got a little work to do. How you guys doing? Mona here for the project truck today. Don't worry if you tuned in to see a day in the shop. That's what we're at. I'm Jimmy, if you're new. Man, it's been busy. Joe's on vacation. Got a lot done yesterday. I hope you enjoyed that video. We're gonna do it all over again today. I've been doing this every day for over 40 years. So the comments are interesting. I've been getting a lot of interesting comments lately. You guys are hysterical. I can't tell if some of you are serious or not, but in any event, it makes me laugh. It's pretty funny. So keep the comments going. Let's get this wound up. You guys jump down there in the comments section, fire things up, will you? We're gonna learn some things. We're gonna fix some things, and we're definitely gonna have some fun. Let's get in there, finish getting the shop open, get to work. Stay tuned. All right, we're on this 2013 Veloster. The other shop had it for a couple of months and couldn't figure it out, so we're gonna try to figure it out. They got me an hour, so no worries. When I get done, I got an evaporator and a Mustang to do. So DCT1, DCT2, and DCT3 I've labeled on the fuse box. I think some people have been checking fuses but not realizing there's several fuses that run this sucker. What I like to do is look up the fuse ID in my fuse box so I can see where they're supposed to be. Sometimes they're missing, so you test existing fuses without realizing one's missing, right? So I know I got 4 here and 3 to get to that fuse. I got 4 here and 3. So this 15 amp fuse should be the one that powers up the TCM module. This 40 amp fuse sends it power to control the actuators, which is this one we've already replaced. And there's a fuse that's in this strip. And what I don't like here is you can see someone has been in there soldering stuff. That is not, I don't think that's a factory solder deal. It's a little too ugly looking. I might have to take this out. There's a fuse built in. They call this a multi-fuse. Great idea some of these manufacturers have. I can't explain it, but that's what they do. So if there's a third fuse inside that, which is DCT1, and if that fuse blows, it can't control the actuators and put the car in gear. That's maybe why it's stuck in neutral. I also don't get any communication data. It will give me codes and stuff, but not data, which is kind of strange. I'm almost wondering if someone jump-started it backwards and took out the module and blew this fuse open. So my job's going to be to verify whether there's an electrical problem with something going to the module, or has the module been fried as well and they fixed all the end results of jump-starting it backwards or something like that. Like I said yesterday, speculation, but we're going to try to prove it out right now. Okay, this fuse is new. I do have to check for power to it. This is the control module's fuse, just for it to be awake. Have power there. Let's pull this out. Make sure we got power coming into that. 2.2 volts on one side, 2.3 volts on the other. That's interesting. Feedback or something through the circuits in the module, but I'm gonna have to unbolt this and take a look at the other fuse that's built into here. Make sure nothing's burnt. Maybe I can open this up somehow and check it with the ohm meter, and we'll do that next. I think these are 10s. Now, and there is some stuff going on. Alright, let's get the ohm meter on this thing. See what we can see. If we have a connection across here, you got to keep in mind there's no load on it. So what I can do is I can put a light bulb or something in line and load the circuit in this fuse and make sure that it looks almost like something's going on with this one. I don't know if they soldered it or if that's just how it was. I mean, that's some stuff's been fixed on it for sure. This looks like at the very least it got hot or it's corroded. And I think that's my fuse that 1, 2, 3, the fourth one. Yeah, the one that looks funny is the one that powers up the TCM. Alright, so let's ohm this thing. This is the main inputs, and that's the... So I got 1.7 ohms. Mostly contact with the meter, with the probe, and on the copper pieces here. So I don't like the way that's discolored, but it is ohming. Let me get a bulb and we'll put some load on it. All right, all I'm going to do is I've got my leads hooked up to my bulb. Doesn't matter positive and negative on a bulb, it'll go either way. If it's an LED, that's not the case, but for old school halogens, no problem. So now I'm just going to use this. I'm going to touch this to the positive on the legs just like it would be, and see if it'll run that bulb through this fuse lead. Nice good light. Same thing for the alternator. I believe I can just go like this. Nice good light. That's this fuse right here. This is the main fuse and this multi-fuse thing. So that means this fuse is good. It runs the light nice and bright. Shouldn't be a problem. It's not that. I'm going to go down to the module and see what we got at the module. We know all the fuses are good, so power should be getting to the TCM. But the TCM is not working any actuators and doesn't communicate properly. It won't even attempt an actuator relearn. It just says test failed. It's kind of strange that it'll let you talk to it, but these three different fuses go to three different sections in that transmission module. So it's possible that the logic fuse is waking it up, but the big fuses that let it run the actuators, there's been damage in the module, so it can't do it. So it tries to and fails. I also can't see data in the TCM. It just says no data available. It's kind of strange, but that's something we'll worry about down the road. We'll see what happens with that. We're probably going to have to get a new TCM for this, I suspect, and then see what happens with that, because if I have all my powers and grounds at the TCM like I do here, there's no other option but to put a TCM in it. Let's put this all back together and get inside there. This here 2015 Mustang, 77,000 miles. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm going to take the dash out of the car to do the evaporator. This thing is hurting. I'm going to give it a love rating of 2. It's only got 77,000 miles on it. It looks like it's been down the river. So I'm going to finish cleaning her car out for her, and we'll start getting this dash out of here. First order of business now that it's cleaned out is moving the seats back. Got to take the console out and take the dash out. And to take the console out and take the dash out, you got to take the shifter out. And to get the shifter out, you got to disconnect the cable from underneath. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to lift it up, disconnect the shifter cable, put the tranny in neutral, roll it backwards. First, I'll disconnect the battery so that the airbag system can discharge while we're doing it. And this is where you fire your missiles from, just so you know. Oh, that's not even tight. That wasn't even tight. Not even close. That's probably not good. Doesn't seem like it matters much though, because it's still hard to get off. Very strange. Alright. This is the easiest part of the job. It's giving me a hard time. That's a bad start. You will come out whether you want to or not, and that's just how it is. What in the hell is going on? It's like there's a ridge on the ground post, so it won't let it come up. I need bigger tools. Ever seen such a thing? My goodness gracious. I'm sure there's a do-it-yourselfer somewhere that would tell me how to do it better. definitely want to get it off of there. Not only to win, but to see why it's being held on like that. Oh my goodness, is this how this job's going to go? Is this what we're dealing with? Wow. You know what it is? Someone really over-tightened the hell out of it and crushed the terminal so that it made a mushroom tip. That doesn't sound right. Let's get this off first.
You want to move the white car over here?
And then 8mm for the holder. And then then you do everything else from up top, you can lift it out the top.
Can I move the white car? The white car.
You get started.
You got to release these two little teats. Got to come out of there, basically. Trying to do it in between impact noises. Don't remove that like the instructions say. It's double-sided tape then. But you have to get the A-pillar, the side covers, the rocker trim, a couple of little pieces out of the way to get to the screws. So. Plastic trim stick for that. Most of the stuff should just pop out. Once you pop these out, they're pretty tight too. Then this little tether, you twist one out, twist it the other way, and the other one comes out. You gotta be careful not to break those. And there's a connector for the speaker. This thing should lift out of there. Alright. Make little mental notes about what stuff I gotta plug back in when I get back to that. I'm taking that out of the way mostly just so that the dash can lift up, because the bottom hooks into the dash just to keep the trim together. So, alright. Carry on. I try not to take these out 100% of the way, not only because they hook underneath and back, because I find I cut my shins and stuff getting in and out of the car a lot with taking the dash out. So I just kind of lift them out of the way, get the rocker out, and lay it back in place. It's pretty easy to snap in and out anyway. You should pull backwards, I believe. You end up fixing things because they don't separate. They're not made to come back apart. They're made for quick assembly when new. And then as a professional mechanic you get, well, how did you break that? It's not designed to come apart. So, some vehicles you get into the clips and all, and they just pop out. And just a little pressure from behind, you come right out. A lot of these vehicles, this is what it does. And I haven't found a way to avoid it. So all I'll do now is I'll either take these out of the metal panel, the metal clips, and push them on here, which is probably what I'll do. When I go back in, it'll be like when it was assembled new. Click, no problem. They're made to go one way and not the other. You'll see that the leg on the clip, I'll show you. Oop, came out now that it's off the plastic. No, it went in and never went. Alright. I'll show you in a second. When you look at these clips, you see how long this entrance is and how short the exit is. That means it's meant to retain it up against, tight against this, right? Well, honestly, you could have the bend right here and have the panel it's going into a little bit thicker, and it would be easy to get off and on. But, you know, I'm no engineer, I'm just saying. Shifter plate has slightly better plastic clips, but they're pretty aggressive too. You had to really tug on it where I thought it might break, but it came out. The console is some 7mm screws, top and side, and a couple of 10s in the back. I had to clear all the masks and stuff out, but we got to take care of. Let's take the console out next. Alright, this airbag, a little tricky. They got 2 little bolts from the front. It makes it look like you can pop it right out of there, but there's 3 bolts that face the firewall. Sits in here like this. That's a little tricky to figure out. We got it. In the instructions, I'm looking at it going 3 bolts. It looked like they were in a metal bar facing up, but they're facing out. But I get confused easy. That's my problem, not yours. Now we'll get the old coupler off the steering. It's only 18 foot-pounds for that. Using the Icon T40 and the Pittsburgh ratchet. It's working great. See how this back drag is. All right, now it doesn't line up anymore. Let's try that. Not too bad, really. This $17 ratchet or something, I think, you know, it's not bad at all, really. Only real complaint I could say about it is it's backwards. If you guys haven't seen my other videos, the controls are backwards. Every other ratchet, it works the other way. Off is to the right and on is to the left. But they decided they would do it backwards. I don't know if someone was asleep at the wheel over there when they were made, but who knows. They decided to be different. That's okay. Alright, I put a pair of vice grips on it to protect the clock spring. Otherwise crazy stuff could happen. You could hurt the clock spring. Generally the wheel turns about 3 turns, fully left to fully right in most cars, 2.5, 3 turns. The clock spring can handle about 4, but if you get it off much, when you go to the stops on one side or the other, it'll snap the clock spring. You'll be like, what is that tugging on the wheel? Oh, all of a sudden it'll get easy and the light will come on for the airbags and the horn won't work. So there's a little ribbon in there. You can only go so many turns. Anyway, carry on. I gotta keep taking off plastic panels. I'm gonna lift the console out next. I just put it off for a second while I wanted to figure this stuff out. There's 2 bolts on each side. You can't get the bolts out without removing the doors, but you can unthread them and back them out so that it'll let the dash come out. So you see they get captured in there. These little adjusters take up the slack. There's tolerances from one side to the other of the car. So those little nuts take up that slack, and these bolts lock everything in. And then there's 2 bolts here. The other side has the same 2 bolts, but only a bolt on the bottom. And you just back them as far as you can, and then you can get the dash out. Some people used to take the doors off, and then they realize you don't have to get the bolt completely out, apparently. So that's what we're going to try. I mean, that's what we're going to do. You might think taking these screws out and these screws out and those screws out that the console would lift out, but that's not how it works. Over here at the Ford motor plant, there's some clips, and then this cover comes off. You're unbolting the cover, and these clips, much like some of the others, they do not want to come out, and I do not want to crack this. So this is what I'm messing with now. There's a clip right here somewhere that won't let go of it. Once I get this out, then I can pull this tray out, and there's 2 bolts hidden under there. It's kind of strange. If they just made that panel pop out, you could take the 2 bolts out and lift the console out right now. But, well, I guess this helps you get the emergency brake stuff. You can leave it all attached, it just pulls over it. So let me get this clip out, and then we'll come back. We're fast, we're furious, and we're underway. I think this thing is about out. Alright, bro. Let's do this thing, huh? This thing doesn't quite fit out. I don't know. Alright. That's all. Stop being nice. Just make it go out. And then it goes out. It's... Oh, there's a lot of trash in that console. Just dumped on the back seat. Idiot again, huh? My conscience is clear because I didn't put the trash there, I guess. I've cleaned this car up a lot. This car is going to be, they're going to get it back way cleaner. I have a couple of people that watch my videos that'll be really happy that I polished and lubricated and chromed stuff while I was in there fixing cars. Alright. Now, all of that so you can get that out. I'll show you. I'll show you what these geniuses, the stuff they do. This just sits in here like this. Alright. You take those two screws out, you can pull that out now that the cover's out of the way. And then there's two bolts right there. Now, if this lip goes under the main cover. Otherwise, it could just pop up after you take the bolts out, and you can get to those and lift it all as one piece. The problem, like I said though, the emergency brake, that's an issue. Which, it was even an issue just taking the cover off. Imagine trying to take the whole console. Oh, watch your head. Imagine trying to take the whole console out in one piece. The way this emergency brake dealio works. Not happening. Oh, I'm also going to have to unbolt the boot so I can slide the rest of this out of the way. You probably could leave it like this, except you got to get support bolts on the sides of the dashboard, or instrument panel they call it. And they want you to take the shifter out of the way, which is why I disconnected the shift lever underneath, so I can lift this out of the way and not risk damaging this moving the dash around. If you just take the shifter knob off, then a steel rod that's about a ½ inch around sticking out, and it could do some damage. Not that the buttons haven't had a rough life already. Let me stop talking, get a 7mm, get this out of our way. We can move this and get the shifter out. To get the shifter handle back, I just moved the little detent. That's when you press the brake pedal, that moves to release the shifter. So I wanted to move the shifter back so I can clear this, lifting it all off of here. Got this unbolted. Now, I gotta say, one thing I'm happy about is this car is not really in nice shape. It's been not seeing a lot of love. I'd be a little more nervous about stuff if it was seeing some love, but I still got to be careful. I don't want to intentionally damage anything, but I can just be a little less cautious. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Some people might be mad about it, but that's okay, because I live in the real world. I'm not Sarah N. tuned, spending 11 hours doing a brake job. So they pay me an hour and a half. Guess what? It's going to be done in about an hour, maybe an hour and a half at the most, because that's how you make a living. I need two hands. All right, you. Let's not be difficult now. I'm going to take this out one way or another. Cigarette lighter. USB. Oh, I see. Aha. Two clips. Two clips hold the USB in, top and bottom. That's why it wouldn't go. Now we're getting somewhere, I think. We're not getting too far, but we're getting farther, and that's the really important part. Oh, goodness gracious. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate the cooperation, Mr. Console. Now you don't want to hit the headliner. Fire missiles. I'll put that in a safe space. I'll probably put what I know back where I think it goes, and the stuff I'm not sure about. I mean, I don't know, plastic bag collector or something, I guess. Maybe they have a dog and they don't like buying the doggy bags. I don't know. That's not my concern, is it? Let's get back to this console deal. Alright. Now, oh, by the way, these two bolts are 8, not 7 like the rest of them, or 10 like the ones in the back. This is 10. And these are 13s in here. And we're getting pretty close. I gotta go outside and undo the heater hoses and expansion valve connector, stuff like that. But I'm gonna do that last, once I get the dash out of the way. Shifter's next. 2 bolts, 2 studs, and an impact gun. Look at that thing, huh? Put it right there for safekeeping. Now it's out of the way. I don't have to worry about breaking anything. Gives me a little more room. I could even lower the parking brake. And I'll probably put a rag over that, even though it's pretty beat up. Like I said, I don't want to make it worse. I just don't have to be quite as nervous about it. I got the bolts on this side out of there. See, it's just a little short of fitting out. 13 on the bottom. Two of those on the other side. I got to disconnect. There's like 4 electrical connectors that come down from the dash into the fuse box. One of the things I like that Ford does, they make that convenient. Instead of taking the whole dash apart and undoing all the electrical connectors and laying the harness on the ground, you do 1 or 2 electrical connectors over there and 3 or 4 over here, and the harness stays in the dash when you lift it out as one piece. I'm going to start getting some stuff off here. I think there's a couple of bolts that might hold the center of the dash. Under here there's 2 bolts. The instructions tell you to throw them away and put new ones in. Sometimes those wiper arms won't release with that. These are nice and squishy, so I got a cool wiper arm removal tool. There you go. I think this is Lyle. I forget who makes it. I believe I bought it on the Mack truck, but I'm not positive about that either. There's no identifying marks or anything on it, huh? It works though. I'll see if I can find it and put it in my Amazon store in case it's not in there. This pivot's on the bottom too, so it doesn't scratch or harm anything. It kind of rolls inside there. Those 2 bolts right there got to come out. They tell you to remove and discard, but you guys know that's not what we're going to do. We're going to remove and then reinstall. I'm not sure if this is going to record correctly or not because the GoPro's acting weird today. These bolts, the 2 bolts here they tell you to replace, I think it's because of these rubber grommets. I think they help seal. So what I'll have to do is put some RTV silicone around there and right as I put them in, because they're pretty chewed up. And now there's 2 bolts that hold the HVAC box. I didn't take the dash out yet. I'm going to film that for you guys, but I'm going to get these bolts while I'm in here getting to these bolts for the cowl. I'm motivated to do these 2 main HVAC bolts that are out here too. And I got quite a contraption. I got a universal 8mm with another universal or swivel, whatever you want to call it, and 2 extensions because I don't have a long enough quarter drive extension. And there's one on this side and there's one on the other side of the engine. I don't know how this works with the V8 cars, but it's fun. I'm hoping that the bolt's not going to fall into Never Never Land. I might have to get a magnet and put you guys down. I'll use a magnet to grab the washer and lift it out of there. Well, Rob came over because the dash started rolling on its own when I took those bolts out, and we just lifted it off. I didn't grab the camera. I apologize. We just rolled it back, laid it on the seats real nice, and some 10s hold this box in. Everything's discombobulated outside. We're good to go. A couple electrical connectors you got to undo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, and they're all right here. So I like the way Ford does this. This is one of, I wish every manufacturer would. It's one of the easier ones. It's not even lunchtime. I've got it out. My plan is to have that box out before I break for lunch, and then we'll start putting it back together this afternoon. I think I'm gonna, there's only 110 in the box on the bottom here. Oh, that broke. That's terrible news. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out of the way. I don't have to worry about dragging it over it, because you know how we hate to break things. It's part of the business though. I don't think any job like this, I don't think there's anything you can do 100% to stop anything from breaking. You can reduce the amount of breakage, but when they engineer it, it doesn't seem like they're terribly worried about it, really. That is so tight that it will not spin still. Maybe it's cross-threaded. Someone has done it before. It doesn't look like it. I'm going to get some pliers and hold it so I can try to fix this damage on this when I put it back together. There's a couple of 10s under here. I normally would use my little bit driver with a 10. I didn't expect that to happen. I thought it would spin right out with a bigger tool. It didn't really matter what I used, but I probably should have used a bit driver. It might not have happened. But we'll fix it. One more 10, I think, on the other side, and this thing lifts out. My goodness gracious. You know what it is? It looks like thread lock on there. These guys are incredible. I mean, maybe there's a problem with it loosening and making a squeaky noise. I don't know. Shit, I can barely hold it with my pliers. No cussing, family show. I wonder why the plastic broke. What are they thinking? Maybe they're not. Look at that. That's from the factory. Good job. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen on GM and Chrysler and stuff too, but I happen to be working on Ford right now, so I apologize if you're a Ford fan. I see stuff like that all the time. How many things? I had like 3 things break coming apart. I don't know. And I am maybe not the most careful technician on earth, but I'm in the top 10%, I'll guarantee you that. Because I've worked with some guys that Sawzall and a die grinder and drills are their favorite things. I seen a guy change belts one time without ever loosening a bolt. He used a pry bar to bump them all off and bump them on. That was in the 90s when there were a lot of V-belts. But everyone has their own way of doing things. The guy made a lot of money, got a lot of stuff done. He didn't have a lot of problems with come downs or anything. But I was watching it. Well, I'm on my train of thought here. I was watching a scanner. Fast and Furious dump truck. I was watching a Scanner Danner video last night, and I was reading the comments. Somebody was in there giving him a hard time, born again, something or other. Talking about how he's a hack because he put a crank sensor in a car as a part of a test, and it didn't fix it. And it was a few hours labor, so he just left it in and put the old part in his car and didn't charge the customer for it. He accused him of being lazy by not switching the part back or something. It's 3 hours labor. The part probably cost 70 bucks. I just thought it was funny. I'm like, I shouldn't take the criticism so personally when they criticize someone like Scanner Danner, who in my opinion, he's one of the best YouTube channels going. He's educational, he's an instructor, and he's been doing it a long time. And he shows you his faults and when he makes mistakes, and he doesn't hide from them. He has one of the most realistic YouTube channels. His channel wasn't designed to make him look like a god. It was to help him teach you the ups and downs and insides and outs and fix a car. Which that's kind of my channel's about. I'm not doing these videos so I look like a god, which I take a lot of criticism for that too. I'm not like Sarah and Toon. I'm not just making videos for YouTube and where I can spend 10 hours doing something that a flatbed mechanic might get paid 0.8 for. What the heck is going on? I'm not just, you know, I can't spend 6 hours doing something that I would get paid 0.8 for in the shop, you know. This is reality world. My channel is reality. Anyway, let's get that thing out of there and stop yapping. Gum flapping, quit it. Gotta lift the little legs out of the floor. I'm like, I know all the bolts are out, why isn't it going? Try to keep it rolled back so the heater core doesn't dump. Although I did blow most of it out. You never get 100% of it out. Alright. Got my piece. Use my soldering iron and melt that back on there. Alright, I fixed that piece with my little my soldering iron with the flat blade tip, and I just went around and remelted it back together. Ran my thread chaser through the clip and through the bolt, around the bolt, Clean that up. Now I got this all separated, and this little clip holds it together, and there is a ton of screws. All of these screws, these 3 came with the new evaporator. All these had to come out. Some under here, some over there, some. I'll try to show you most of them going back together. I was getting a little frustrated, so I just went ahead and knocked it out. Now we're at the evaporator, and things are looking rosy. It's got 2 little hinges down here, and you can see all the little screws. They go all the way around it, all the way around the top. So, and then the case gets, this gets screwed back to the blower case. But anyway, we got our new one. That looks good. It's got the foam on it. It's got a new sensor, the whole 9 yards. So, looks like it should be good. We might need to get something to wrap this with. They had it wrapped with temperature tape, like AC tape, but that one's not wrapped. So we may need to get some. I have some AC tape, so we'll wrap it up after we install it. I think this should just pop out of here. Pop being the operative word. Yeah, there you go. It's a big deal. All covered in dye, so that's good. That's what we want to see. It definitely was leaking, so. All right. Let's grab that new one. I'm going to clean some of the remnants of the dye from the old one. Clean this all up a little bit, make sure everything's good. We'll start putting this thing back together. I'd like to get this all back in and get the dash mostly in, and then I'll probably have to finish it up a little bit in the morning, but we'll see. Sometimes they go together quicker than they come apart, because you know how everything goes, right? Bent really close, but not exactly the same. There you go. We made it work. I don't want this to fall on the floor. That wouldn't make it work. That would make it not work. Why is that like that? Now, that should help. Once you hit that little click, then you know you're close. And since the foam's all new, it's going to take a little effort to screw it down, so I'll go back and forth across all the screws and cinch it down a little at a time. Oh, gravity check. I got new stickers, gravity check stickers. Get them while they last. No forcing around. This thing's got to go. Kind of wasn't expecting to do this kind of work with Joe on vacation, but it is what it is, I guess. Make the best of each job you get, do what you can to make it work. There's quite a few screws, so I'm going to go ahead and finish buttoning these up. I didn't even need to take these out, but I think it kind of helped relax it and get it apart a little easier. AC tape's on the way. We ran out, so they're going to bring me some. I'm going to put it on there. That's going to be right before I put it in the car. So that's what we're waiting on. I'll finish putting these screws in. Sometimes you can spend 10 minutes going, where does that last screw go? I put every screw in, I can't find it, and it's like right there, almost basically right in front of your face. It's a big deal. I don't understand why that was so hard to find. But that's 5 minutes of my life I'll never get back. This thing's about ready to go in. It's kind of heavy. Let's test out my modified bracket. Button this up. I'm trying to get video of the dash going back. Some people are camera shy. I'm not going to take my firewall, tighten the two outside first. Well, obviously someone else doesn't like Land Rovers too much. Bill said that was from a bird. A big old bird. Someone flipped him the bird. This here bolt, I got about 15 minutes just getting this one bolt in. I almost wonder if you can get it from underneath. It looks like there's room under there, but I didn't feel like pushing the car forward and setting the lift again. And I figured I'd struggle with the universal for 15 minutes instead and then bitch to you about it. That's good stuff. Doesn't get crazy tight. Once you feel it snug up a little more and you're good. Let's do this. Yes, sir.
I'm like an inch from the... Yeah, I'm on that. I'm all the way. Yeah. All the bolts are lined up, baby. Good job. Yeah, what the hell?
I see why they stick to it.
You need to wait yet?
No.
Okay.
This screwdriver popped in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's heat.
Good job, Jimmy.
Gas in. I'm going to put these away. I always touch them a little bit more. That way they're not flopping around in my toolbox, taking up more space. Now, don't get distracted by your vice grips. Get your pinch bolt back. Don't do anything. Install this. Don't stop to pee. Don't go answer your call from your girlfriend. Remember, never walk away from this. That's one thing I don't get power tools for usually. I want to feel, you can feel that pinch in the clamp, squeeze and then lock. So now we don't have to worry about steering or anything weird happening. I've got to tighten these side bolts. 13 and a 10, I don't know why they're two different sizes, but it is what it is. And I don't think I can fit a socket and ratchet in there, so I'm using my gear wrenches or ratchet wrenches or whatever you want to call them, mountain wrenches. Whatever suits your fancy. Let's tighten these up, we'll come back. Alright, all my main bolts are tightened up. I put a little RTV on the two cowl bolts. Now I'm pressing this in here. This kind of is a channel in front of the windshield. This snaps into. Really pretty simple. It was hard to get it out. I felt like it was going to break. I didn't want to pull too hard, but it finally let loose. This goes underneath the fender here and underneath the glass. It snaps into place. Plastic clips. I'm not going to hook the battery up till I got to get the airbag in. A couple other things on the driver's side. Got it under vacuum so that by the time that's done, I'll be close to done. Click that in. Oh, there's a lot of change. She's got a lot of change in there. There it goes. All right. Get in there, will you? What the heck you think you're doing? Now I tried to pile these all up in order because there's quite a few panels that overlap. Some of them unclip, some of them bolt, some of them have bolts hidden underneath them. Some of them the clips don't want to go in, some they don't want to come out. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So now, of course, you know, if you don't do them in the right order, you can take stuff back apart to get to the bolts to put the other one in, right? So I just try to lay them on top of each other so I know when I go to grab my next part, I know I got to put this in before I put the other piece, right? That's how it works for me. But I'm old and my memory's slipping. Maybe you don't have to do that. A-fold trim. You gotta kind of get it close. Get your little tweeter speaker hooked up. Make sure you feel a good positive snap. Don't worry about the rubber. It tells you in the instructions to pull this pin out and pull the rubber off, but it's taped. You saw earlier I mentioned that. So all you got to do is pretty soft. You just fold it over afterwards. It's not a big deal. You got to be more concerned with getting it to line up with everything inside here. There's a lot going on. There you go. Got to hook the tether up. It's got to go through twice, so it's a little interesting. Sometimes you need a little pair of needle nose or something. And sometimes they'll go right in. Like that one went right in. I'll show you what it looks like up close. That's what that thing looks like up close. It's just designed so that when the airbag deploys, this will separate but not hit you in the face. That tether is supposed to hold it, but I don't really think it will. I'm not sure. I've never been in a bad enough accident to have my airbags pop. Maybe one of you guys knows. You could tell me. That's got a seat down flush in there. Everything's got to line up before you snap it in place. Then you can see where your clips go here. It's a little tricky though. They definitely want to fight you. And I'll play with it a little while and all of a sudden it'll go dunk. And I don't know what I did. Next piece. The oil has been added. The Freon is going in. How much you want? How much you want in this cooter biscuit? 0.595 kilograms, 1.3 pounds. Okay.
Quick math.
1.3, 16. 0.3 is roughly 5 ounces. So let's go 21 ounces. Let's go on the high side. That's where the oil went in. All right, Freon's going in. You can see here that we are closed up. I am going to work on the project truck door a little more tonight. Filming a little bit on it each night, try to get that door in one video. So, and today's day in the shop videos come to a close. Appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed it, got something from it. This Mustang we're going to finish up in the morning. Shouldn't even take a half an hour to get it all done in the morning and take it for a little drive. So I hope you torque the like button on your way out, and I hope I'll see you in the next video, because you're awesome.